Okay, we don't want any trouble. My computer was stolen, and this says that it's in there. I just want it back. There's no questions. So, can you get it?
I can get these nuts.
You can get these nuts?
All right, tough guy. You had your chance.
Oh.
A modern day remake of Matthew Vaughn's Layer Kick. A Coen brothers end up with Timothy Chalamet. A Citizen Kane prequel, a Midnight Cowboy sequel. Alvin and the Chipmunks deserve another squeakquel. There's so many new ways to revisit Sideways, but a graphic novel is how we choose to update. But we still hold fast, you can't change the past on the Ruined Childhoods podcast.
Just look at those goddamn monkeys. The sentence is short but loaded, both grammatically and emotionally. It begins with the imperative phrase, just look at, which functions as both a command and an expression of disbelief. It tells the audience not only to observe, but to share in the speaker's judgment. The adverb just minimizes any opposing viewpoint, implying that what follows is self-evident. The phrase, those goddamn monkeys, serves as the object of scrutiny, with those marking distance and otherness, while goddamn intensifies contempt or frustration. Taken literally, it could describe irritation toward actual monkeys, perhaps causing chaos at a zoo or in a jungle. However, given the long and deeply racist history of likening people, particularly people of African descent, to monkeys, the sentence also carries an unmistakable potential for dehumanizing and hateful meaning. The tone, therefore, depends entirely on context, but the phrasing itself is so charged that it leans toward offense even before intent is clarified. Just look at those goddamn monkeys happens to be the first sentence uttered in this week's film during its opening scene, and the context of this line is clarified by its speaker moments later as we see them referencing a news report, followed by additional utterances of hate and bigotry. Words have meaning, sentences have words, and season 4 of this podcast is built on a foundation of sentences, as each movie title is a complete sentence. Greetings, Starfighters. This is Ruined Childhoods. I'm John, joined as always by my brother Dan, and on this episode, this season 4 premiere, we're talking about the film I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, the story of a depressed healthcare worker who turns to vigilantism after her home is burgled. Dan, have you ever been the victim of theft?
Yes, John, I have.
Tell us a story.
Oh, well, let's see. Which one? Where do I go backward or forward in time? I can actually only...
Wait, forward in time?
So, no.
You're about to be burgled?
John, so something that you don't know about. I got an early Hanukkah gift. I got a precog, like from Minority Report. So,
okay.
Yeah, I know the time, place. I know exactly when. I know who's going to burgle me. So,
okay.
Yeah. So, anywho... I am looking back in time. There are 2 times that I can think of that I was stolen from.
Mm-hmm.
And the one would have been in, let's see, late 2001, Tyler, Texas. As I was traveling.
So you're establishing your alibi for late 2001. Got it.
Whoa, hey, I do not appreciate the implications there. But I was working, I was on a theater tour, so traveling production, Rumpelstiltskin. I was playing the scheming tax collector, and I was traveling around with a book. Those of you of a certain age will remember getting the Case Logic so that you could carry your CDs around, or perhaps you could just store them and recycle the jewel cases. For whatever purpose. So I had a rather large one because I was traveling. I was on the road a lot, and I liked having a variety of music, a wide range. I also liked to buy CDs at the time, so it wasn't unusual for me to, especially on the weekends when we would have nothing to do, but go to the Super Walmart wherever we were. Buy a CD, get a new CD, and then listen to it over and over and over and over and over again on that tour. I remember a lot of CDs that I listened to over and over and over again on that tour. and the ones that I listened to most were the first ones that I replaced after all of my CDs were stolen. We were in a high school in Tyler,
Okay.
Texas, and that was where we were performing that day, and I left my things, and shame on me.
Right.
I left my,
Mhm.
and actually all of these, all right. So I now can think of 3 theft stories. This one's going to be the longest. No, maybe not.
Okay.
But, 3 theft stories, and 2 out of the 3 this was my negligence, kind of similar, a bit similar to Ruth. Not a little bit. These were a little bit more on me, even more so than Ruth. And I don't feel at home at this. I don't feel at home in this world anymore. I left my things. There was just trust that things wouldn't be stolen, and of course they were stolen. This is very similar to the time that I was I was working. This was in, I want to say maybe 2005, early 2006. And I had my first my iPod. I think it was my first iPod, my iPod Nano,
Okay.
that I left in I might have left it like on my desk and like left the area, and it was gone. Like someone must.
Okay.
There were a lot of delivery people that came. Anyway, who knows who? The door was open, and I think, if I remember correctly, it was left unattended. Now,
Wow. Dan, you and in music, people just want to take it from you.
and every time because I think about my music collection, and don't get me wrong, like there's a lot of credibility in there, but that credibility, that credit score does get admittedly a bit diminished by some of the other selections in there that are, I adore them, all of the CDs and that I had at the time, that I had with me. They were all special, but I certainly wondered what like some high school student in Texas was going to do with maybe a good 50% of what was in there.
And I feel like that particular story has come up on the podcast before, and all I can think about is some kid going through and being like, so much UB40 in here.
It's like all of a sudden,
much UB40.
but imagine like all of a sudden in this little town in Texas, like UB40 got really popular in 2001.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like,
the original cast recording of Rent. Okay.
That was probably in there. That was probably in there. But in 2001, that would have been more, I think, popular than, like Promises and Lies. But
right.
Yeah. So whatever, like there might have even been some like mix CDs in there. Who knows? I don't think I don't think I was doing mix CDs yet. I don't think I was that technologically advanced. And the other theft story that I have is the only one where my property was eventually retrieved, and that's because it was an inside job. So I don't. Can I say names? These are people that from a long time ago in our family past. So,
okay,
should I say names? Does anyone care?
Sure.
If a tree falls in the woods, all right. So I'm gonna throw a name out there: Jeffrey Schwartz. So
okay,
now Jeffrey Schwartz was the son of our parents' friends, Sid and Andrea Schwartz. Why not?
Okay.
We're going there. You can always edit it out if you don't feel cool with it. But I'm going to call him out because he stole a baseball card. I forget which baseball card it was, but like I noticed it might have been, I'm trying to remember if it was like my Roger Clemens rookie card, which at this time was, definitely like potentially going to be worth a lot of money before all of the Roger Clemens scandals. Regardless, the baseball card was stolen. I recognized this the next. It was the type of thing where like he was hanging out and like looking at my baseball cards, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go and do this, and then I was looking through my baseball cards the next day, as I did at that time. Noticed the missing card,
and you said Schwartz.
Indeed. Indeed, I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And actually, so the Schwartz family connects back to when our family went to see Spaceballs, because as we were coming and I, remember this back to 1987, as our family is coming out of the movie theater, the Schwartzes were on the line to go in, and our parents were like trying to get their attention, couldn't get their attention. Of course, they yelled out like, hey, Schwartz. And of course, everyone had just seen this movie. So quite a reaction in the lobby there of the Westfield like Twin or wherever it was we saw it.
Wow. So Dan, I'm impressed by your memory, because I'm
Me too.
I'm sure that the theft of this baseball card was quite some time ago.
It damaged the relationship between the families.
Wow.
There was a breaking of trust.
No
and
kidding.
This was personal.
Yeah.
This was not like the iPod Nano or the CDs. That was business. This was personal.
Wow. Amazing.
You don't steal from
thank
your
you
friends.
for sharing.
You don't steal from your friends because they're not your friends anymore.
That's right.
Someone steals from you, they're not your friend.
Well,
and actually,
this
that
movie
leads
that
us,
we're talking about.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, the movie that we're talking about is built on a foundation of theft and mistrust and just kind of messing with the wrong person, who you might not even think would be the wrong person.
Right.
But lo and behold.
Right. Shall I synopsize?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and synopsize?
After discovering that her house has been broken into and robbed, post-op nurse Ruth fears that the police don't consider her case a priority, so she decides to take matters into her own hands. Teaming up with an equally reclusive neighbor, Tony, Ruth tracks down her stolen items one by one, but won't stop until she confronts the thief who broke into her home. As Ruth, we have Melanie Lynskey, the marvelous Melanie Lynskey, as Tony Elijah Wood, as Christian, the aforementioned thief. We have Devin Gray, and as I guess Jane Levy or Levy. I'm not sure how she pronounces it, but plays Des, who's kind of his girlfriend. Kind of, sort of.
Christian's,
yeah.
Female accomplice. We don't know the nature of their relationship.
Well, yeah, because she's also connected to this guy, Marshall, played by David Yao, or Y-O-W, who's this, they all know each other from prison, and he's kind of got this, like, cult leader vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh yeah. And we got to shout out, Christine Woods as Meredith Rumack, Christian's stepmother, she's wonderful, quite entertaining. Yeah. So I don't know, John, any other, standouts in the cast you want to,
not particularly. Worth mentioning that the movie is directed and written by Macon Blair, who makes a brief appearance in the film too.
Yeah. Which I enjoyed.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the director.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't seen it, but he was also the one who directed the most recent Toxic Avenger movie.
Oh, okay.
With Peter Dinklage.
Right.
And also Elijah Wood, I believe.
Right.
So,
yeah.
After watching this, I was a little bit more curious to see that.
Right.
Once it goes streaming, I'm sure I'll check it out. And I feel like I don't feel at home in this world anymore. It was a Netflix release, and it was one that I feel like was advertised to me very heavily. But this was my first time watching it, because it just was like, it felt like something where it was just like, oh yeah, I'll watch that at some point. And we gave ourselves the reason to get around to it.
And it also should be noted, it had its premiere at the Sundance Film Festival in 2017. It won the Grand Jury Prize for the U.S. Dramatic Competition. And it wasn't long after that it started streaming on Netflix, less than a month later. And I have to say,
fast turnaround.
I remember, I definitely knew what it was. It felt like it had a lot in common, maybe at least just title wise. It felt like, I guess, there were a lot of full sentence titles at that time.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Ending Things.
Right.
The one with I feel like there was one with like Joaquin Phoenix that had like a long.
Don't worry, he won't get far on foot.
Right. Or like, yeah, that one. Like there were a few that were just, it kind of felt like
And
all
hey-
within the same 5 years or so.
And don't worry, he won't get far on foot. And I don't feel at home in this world anymore. Both filmed in Portland, Oregon, where I live.
Yes. Absolutely. And, and also it's funny, we noted the Elijah Wood, Macon Blair connection. A fun connection that I find in the cast is that Elijah Wood and Melanie Lynskey have the Peter Jackson connection. Peter Jackson having directed Melanie Lynskey in was it Beautiful Creatures?
Heavenly Creatures?
Heavenly Creatures. Yes, thank you. With Kate Winslet, and always every time I see Melanie Lynskey in something, because I don't think that might have been the last movie in which she played someone from New Zealand or close. I don't remember if that was New Zealand or Australia, but it feels like she has played either British or mostly American since then.
Right.
And I always, because the first thing I saw her in was Heavenly Creatures.
It's the first thing most people saw her in.
Yeah, well, I would say nowadays, maybe not so much. I would say people, again, of a certain age who also were into independent film in the mid-90s and were like, that was on their radar.
I was just saying that was like her first, breakout role.
Right. Well, that, and then like Never After, I think, is the next one that I remember. She was one of the stepsisters in Never After, the Cinderella with Drew Barrymore and Angelica Houston. Yeah. And then, she was on, was the show 2.5 Men?
Oh, was she on that?
Yeah, she was on that, but she's been in so many other films since then. Yellow Jackets.
Well, which teams her back up with Elijah Wood.
Oh, that's right. Yes. That's right. That's the other Elijah Wood. That's right. Oh, wow. I totally forgot.
And in the most recent season of Yellow Jackets, the two of them kind of have their own little thing where they kind of go off together and do like some weird, I don't know, not crime stopping or anything, but like investigation. And when I was watching this, I was like, well, no wonder they did that. They clearly have that chemistry together.
They do have great chemistry together. I really like them together. So anyway,
I think that Melanie Lynskey's fantastic. I'm always happy to see her. She's married to Jason Ritter.
Right.
And I love that pairing. It makes me, I don't know, think more highly of them both as people.
Right. I don't know why, but well, it's just because I feel like the Ritter name itself and, Jason Ritter.
Well, he's also fantastic.
Right. Yeah, no, he's fantastic, but I feel like there's like an inherited fantasticness there. And there's a warmth. I think there's a warmth that I feel towards John Ritter that Jason Ritter has, that, but also on top of that has shown himself to be nothing but a stand-up guy. Was totally excellent on the Parenthood, Mr. Sear.
Sure.
I mean, among other things, but I feel like that was kind of the most consistent, thing I saw him in. And
currently on Matlock. Okay. With Kathy Bates.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Yeah, he does these really silly like TikTok videos where he just dances to the theme song.
Okay.
And it's very funny, very silly. And he commits and he's wonderful. But Melanie Lynskey, I think that she's also been asked about like his social media presence, and she's mostly just like, whatever makes him happy, kind of thing, which is just like, oh, wonderful. You're fantastic. And Elijah Wood has always been great. He's one of those child actors who, carved his own path and ended up making really interesting decisions.
Yeah.
And then of course, had it kind of like there was the crescendo of the Lord of the Flies
Rings?
Lord of the Flies, Lord of the Rings. It's very late. Lord of the Rings
Understood,
movies.
yeah.
And then after that, it was just like,
Literature,
I'm
yeah.
just going to coast and do what I want to do.
Right.
And this is where we are with that.
He did that like what was it, like Maniac or something? He did some like slasher movie remakes. I know you like he just did like fun stuff, and he seemed to just work on fun things that he wanted to do. But we remember him as a child star, and it's funny because he had those phases. He had the child star phase of like Avalon and the Good Son,
North,
Huck Finn.
Huck Finn.
But then he gets into, then we go into the late 90s, like he's in Ice Storm, Deep Impact, The Faculty.
Right.
Great in The Faculty. Love The Faculty.
We talked about The Faculty.
Yeah. But then, and it's like he's got all these, right? Like he's in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I feel like it's easy to forget that. Like same thing with Kirsten Dunst, and like isn't Mark Ruffalo also
Mark? Well, those are the three that work for the scientist.
Tom is it Tom Wilkinson?
It is Tom Wilkinson. Yes.
Yeah, it's so funny because you think of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and I think I really instantly think just of Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet again. Right. The Peter Jackson connection. So Elijah Wood has had a really cool career, and I love that.
Absolutely, yeah.
I love that he kind of came through the child actor thing, and has been made interesting choices, and seems to work with people that he likes working. Sin City, remember him in Sin City?
Oh yeah,
just weird, super creepy, awful in that, and
right,
yeah. So way to go, Elijah Wood. And I love him in this.
I love him in this. I love Melanie Lynskey in this. I didn't love the movie as a whole. I felt like so much of it was trying to be kind of like a, look at how wacky this character is and listen to how quippy these lines are. And that kind of put me off a little bit, but I enjoyed the performances. I also did enjoy the story. I thought that it was an interesting story. It's just a very regular thing that, unfortunately happens all the time. Somebody's home gets broken into, and it's like, well, what happens if the person decides to just start doing something about it? They're fed up with the way that the police are taking care of it, and they decide, no, I'm not going to put up with this. I'm not just going to sit around and wait.
Right. Kind of a falling down vibe.
A bit of a falling down vibe.
That the spirit of it would almost have made sense to have her sitting there in her house, not sure what to do, and she's flipping around the TV, and falling down is on, and that's
yeah, right.
And that's what pushes her into action. I'd be like, yeah, I'd buy that. That's the moment where if you catch falling down, you're going to decide to, follow in the footsteps of Michael Douglas. Defense.
Speaking of defense and thinking of his license plate, and that made me think of Melanie Lynskey's car in this. Another detail where it's just that's an interesting choice. It's kind of like a not in pristine condition. What is it, like a Camaro or a Trans Am or something from, I don't know, early 90s maybe?
Maybe that. It's definitely a relic. It's something that at some point was cool. But
it's an interesting choice for her character, somebody who from what we understand is a healthcare worker who doesn't really have much going on otherwise. Likes to read fantasy novels, enjoys a beer, but otherwise kind of just goes about her day and follows the routine.
Yeah, I guess, I kind of wondered a little bit. I wondered about that. I think we know that she has prescription medication, but do you remember what it was for?
It was like an SSRI or something, because when she was reporting to the cops what was stolen, she mentions that. And it's kind of mentioned in a way of an antidepressant as if to say, uh-oh, this lady's got emotional issues. Look out for this one.
Well, right, because they make the comment of, hey, were you able to get that refilled?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Like the change in her character really didn't feel impacted by that. Did that make sense?
Yeah, it felt like a detail that didn't need to be there, and it seemed like they were trying to do something by indicating that.
Or if maybe
didn't work for me.
Or maybe it was that because she didn't have the medication, she did do something. Like she's somebody, maybe it's about someone, and I don't, I'll speak honestly. I'm someone who took medication for a while, anxiety, and at a certain point found that it was kind of just numbing. I don't want to say numbing me. I feel like that's exaggerating a bit, but stopped taking it because I felt I was like, there are things going on that I should care about. And there are things going on that I want to feel about. I just want to feel whether it's bad, if it's bad, I'm like, I want to feel more upset than I do. Cause it kind of felt that I was having these emotional reactions, but they were just really stifled, and it wasn't that I wasn't having them. And that what the medication I was on, which I'm sure for some people is very helpful. I don't want to come. Right. This is not me being anti, you treat your stuff with what you need to treat it with. But for me, this was not working. And for me, I was like, I don't think I need to stifle myself so much. And it didn't come across that was the correlation.
Right.
But in thinking about my own experience,
maybe there could have been something else that was an indicator of Ruth typically would have something holding her back from acting on impulse, but now doesn't have something that's holding her back on her impulses. Which,
come to think about it, that really, that does speak true to my experience, and I was not on, I don't think, because I do think they mentioned the specific medication she was on, and it's not what I was on, but
I think it was Lexapro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which I have been on, and it was delightful.
Yeah.
But when I went off of it, I didn't go on a vigilante excursion to try to find somebody who wronged me and bring them to justice.
No, you didn't need to. And again, that's not to say it, maybe it's, and for whatever it is, it does seem like for her, this was it's hard to say. It's kind of inconclusive to say if it was really a transformative experience, but it does feel like to a certain extent for her, this was an experience that kind of moved her forward in life, where she was kind of in a standstill. I kind of wondered, how does she have this house?
So I know that she had that silverware that she had inherited from was it her grandmother?
Her grandmother, yeah. Which I got the impression that the house was inherited as well.
That's the impression I got too. And it's also just certainly on a healthcare worker's salary, she could, potentially afford to rent a house like that. Or you never know somebody's situation in which they
Portland real estate better than I do. So.
Well, it's never indicated exactly where it is.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Shot in Portland.
I believe that Macon Blair is from Texas and in the Austin area, and Austin kind of claims this film as kind of one of their own, even though it was filmed here in Portland. I think that because of the influence of the Austin area on Macon Blair, they kind of say, hey, it's our movie too. But it definitely just looks like a densely populated, not super urban,
right,
but, suburban area where that's, rests along the sides of some woods and things like that. And, it doesn't look like the kind of place until you see, Christian's parents' house.
Right.
that's the only place where it looks like, oh, somebody with wealth lives around here. But the houses where like Tony and Ruth live seem very, working class
Yeah.
kind of homes.
Well, there's always, the mansion on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
Quote Springsteen there.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed watching the movie. There were certain moments that I was especially, I don't know, tickled by.
Mhm.
And I think that a lot of it was like, Christian's stepmom was a big part of that. I really did enjoy some of the stuff with, the, that kind of like consignment shop that
Mhm.
they go to,
Yeah.
which is a real place somewhere around here. I got to go find that. I should have
Go
done that
do it.
before we recorded, but
Yeah.
here we are. And I
You
like
do it
that.
before this releases.
It's just some. What's that?
You could do it before this releases and
That's true. Yeah.
some social media
Report
posts.
back. Do a little
Yeah.
TikTok video or something. But it was a fun watch ultimately, and I was glad to have seen it. And ultimately, Melanie Lynskey and Elijah Wood are great together.
Yeah.
So of course I'm going to enjoy watching them.
The great team that I loved Elijah Wood with all of his ninja stars and
Yeah.
that stuff is like nunchucks.
Yeah, and so, and I've also recently been watching some like actual like kung fu movies where people actually are using like ninja stars and stuff, and I was just like, oh, okay, that's what somebody who is trained to use these would be like. Not so much Elijah Wood,
No.
although Elijah Wood uses it very effectively. We'll just say that.
I mean, that dude fought his way to Mordor, so like I wouldn't put it past him to be an effective warrior. No, but he definitely, he almost, almost doesn't make it in this one.
Yeah, well, and also that climactic like chase scene, it was pretty thrilling, and also, and this will go back to our arachnophobia episode from last season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Dan, when that snake came
Oh.
through, were you also like, "Gah!"
Yeah. Oh, I sure was. Like that looks like a killer right there.
Yeah. And when you see what that snake does, you're just like, oh my God. And the way that Melanie Lynskey handles the situation, I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
she's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, she is. Well, yeah, no, at that point, yeah, she's got it under control, man. She's calm, cool, and
Mhm.
collected. So, like, it's cool. Like, I agree. Like, there are parts of this movie that are like just a little. It feels like not fully formed. Feels like
Mhm.
some parts are more fleshed out than others. And like, yeah, other parts are like they get by on the weirdness. When she's going door to door, and it's just like the collection of
Right.
quirky characters. The guy with the go-gurt, it's yogurt you can sip on.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that was like Macon Blair just had that in a notebook somewhere and was like perfect.
Well, this is a problem that I sometimes have with writer directors. And I don't know how heavily involved he was with the editing. He was not the editor,
Mhm.
but a lot of times they'll feel very precious about their little jokes that make them happy. And if it were a different director, those would probably be taken out or tweaked a little bit.
Yeah.
And not to say that this is with every writer director, but especially independent film, writer director, low budget, you're going to get a lot of that like, oh, this is something I find very, very funny. So clearly it needs to stay in.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some movies where I feel like that's the whole movie.
Yeah.
I'm not. I have no need to trash talk other movies right now, though. So,
Oh, you're gonna name names with Jeffrey Schwartz and his parents Sid and Andrea, but you're not gonna name names when it comes to actual movies, which is what this podcast is about.
fine. Do you want me to tell you a movie that I felt was entirely things that the writer?
Yes,
And I don't remember if it was a writer director of it, but yeah, Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, okay. Napoleon Dynamite, I think because it was entirely that. I know that,
There's
look,
plenty of people
I'm
who...
not a big fan of that movie. I know you're not a fan of that movie, but so many people are fans of that movie,
Yep.
and it essentially birthed like a new vibe and genre of movie.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, look,
credit where credit is due for the impact.
and I mean, but also, and to be fair, to name a movie that is also almost entirely that I do have a fondness for is Clerks, and most other
Kevin Smith is,
comedy.
yeah, right. But
Especially
those
the early
little
ones.
quirky jokes that he puts in, he somehow got everybody to buy in on them.
Yeah.
And you know, an entire generation has just like been like, yep, we're okay with this.
Yeah.
And I guess similarly to Napoleon Dynamite, although that one doesn't have kind of the director notoriety. I mean, great directors, but like the legacy that Kevin Smith has had as being
Right.
like, this is my imprint.
Yeah, and he
And I'm
really
gonna
has
take it with me.
He really is a filmmaker who has like established himself and said this is who I am as pretty unapologetically said this is who I am, and like I make the types of films that I want to make, and you might like them, you might not. I hope you do. That's basically what I get from him.
Yeah.
So,
anyway,
back to
this.
Yeah,
this is a podcast where we do talk about extending a movie's legacy, and this is a bit of an interesting one because it's a very recent movie.
Yeah,
and so it feels a little strange to kind of be talking about revisiting it shortly after what was it, 2017?
Yeah, 2017. But
yeah, what would you do, Dan, if given the opportunity to kind of revisit this movie?
Well, so there's a few things that I think you could do with this, and you could kind of go a similar route as the like X, Pearl, Maxine, where you're going into and you're doing a little and I haven't seen all of those films. I've only seen X, but I have a sense of what it feels.
I haven't seen Maxine yet. Pearl is fantastic.
It feels like Pearl is like a prequel to X, and that Maxine is a sequel to X. That's the sense that I get. You could do something like that where I think you could go back, like Marshall. There could be like a backstory there, and like Marshall and what's her name, like Des. Who Jane?
Oh, the ones from prison.
Yeah. So going into that backstory, like I don't know that Tony's backstory is entirely like it's like he's quirky, but I'm not necessarily. I'm not as much like, what's this guy's story? How did he get here? With them, I'm more interested, and I guess kind of spoiler alert if it matters. Tony and Ruth are together at the end, or at least that's where we're left, is they're together. And it would be, I think it could potentially be interesting to follow up on where they go and what they do. They're like, what do they do now that they've had this experience that has brought them together? It's impacted their lives. Do they stay together? Is it like, kind of like they say in Speed, relationships born out of these high intensity situations? Is it going to last? Or do they, I'm wondering if it's the type of thing where they kind of see that happening, and so they find new causes, and to keep almost kind of like to keep their relation. They're like, this is all that we have going. Otherwise, it's just back to the usual. Right. So like what if we find, and I'm not saying like, let's make vigilante movies. Let's make this like the new, it's John Wick, but with a quirky couple. It's like, imagine 500 Days of Summer and John Wick combined.
But John Wick is a hitman. And I feel like the vigilante thing is kind of like the cops aren't doing enough.
Right.
That's kind of the vibe of this movie.
Right. Okay. So I think there's some potential for. I don't see what else you would do with it. So I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
Well, my thought process did lead me a little bit to them continuing on their careers as vigilantes, but it wouldn't be in the form of a sequel. It would be a series of graphic novels, because that's where you really could have those weird and wacky things happen and they feel a little bit more grounded in reality because it's a reality of a graphic novel, not, live action. It kind of would feel a little bit more appropriate. And I do like the idea of, they got a taste for this and they did what they set out to do, and what else are they capable of? And it's like, they do have kind of mundane lives. Ruth went back to her healthcare position and like a post-op facility. And I don't remember if Tony had a job.
Yeah, I can't really remember what his what his deal was.
I don't think he did. Yeah. So whatever it is that Tony does is what Tony does, and his dog, of course.
Right. Yeah.
And they drive around in their cool beat up old Camaro, and they kind of solve petty crimes.
Reminds me of Dirty Work with Norm Macdonald.
Sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of what I was thinking for that one. To our dear audience, if you have ideas of things that you would want to do with I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, please let us know. ruinchildhoodspod@gmail.com. If you are Macon Blair and you're listening or watching on Spotify or YouTube, how's it going, man?
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch Toxic Avenger whenever I have an opportunity, and I'm curious to see what else you put out there.
Same here.
Yeah. But for everyone else, definitely reach out to us, ruinchildhoodspod@gmail.com. Check out ruinchildhoodspod.com for lots of fun stuff. We got some merch up there. We got to get some fresh merch up there. I got to work on that.
Yeah,
and
actually, I've got a classic right here. I've been sipping my cocoa out of.
For our Spotify and YouTube viewers, that is a product that is no longer available.
Discontinued
because a
collector's
certain
item.
Movie studio told us that we couldn't sell it.
Yeah, we can't sell it,
So-
but I can sure still drink some cocoa out of it.
Yeah, there you go.
While we're talking about our merch, and I don't know if we still have any of this up there, but currently right now we're heading into Oscar season, and once upon a time we did have some merch on there supporting some a star of Begonia, Jesse Plemons, the star of Frankenstein, Oscar Isaac. So
Yeah.
you could always check, if you feel like supporting Oscar Isaac or Jesse Plemons, you could check it out.
And Begonia is further proof that Jesse Plemons always
delivers.
Dan, this is season 4. We are doing movies that the title is a complete sentence. Tell us what we're doing for our next episode.
For our next episode. For this episode, we did something that was very recent, 2017. We're going to a classic for this one. It's Some Like It Hot from 1959, directed by Billy Wilder, starring Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis, and Marilyn Monroe.
Damn right.
Oh, and I love it. That's why I love that we do this, because sooner or later we get to the classics. We get to movies like Some Like It Hot, and we get back to Billy Wilder.
Billy. It's been a while since we've visited Billy Wilder.
It has been.
Maybe The Apartment.
Yeah. So it's time. It's time to come back to Billy Wilder. I'm excited to watch Some Like It Hot and talk all about it.
Well, Dan, as you are peeling out of a weird consignment I don't know, store? Is it, you could even call it a store? In your rusted out Camaro, I wish you a good journey.
Yeah, good journey.